Friday night and we got somebody. We got each other and
Nobody
we.
wants to hear this.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
But I will say, it is a Friday night. We do have each other, and now we're going to see who this prosecutor is. Because you got me an Ace Attorney shirt a couple Christmases ago. It has his face on it, but I've never seen a video with
It
him.
looks like something like a skunk and Alice Cooper had a baby.
Oh!
A,
Uh,
Simon Blackquill? Blackquill? Is that his name?
Definitely Blackwell, I remember.
Okay, I think it's Simon.
So time to see what this guy's like.
I told you I have a theory that Athena has met him in the past with the murder that she envisioned.
Yeah,
It's a hunch.
based on how she reacted to him.
It was not good reaction.
You okay, Athena? You've been really antsy ever since we got here. I'm just excited. This is my first real court case after all. Yeah, a real ball of excitement she is. I know just what she needs. Athena! Eek! Didn't you ever learn about indoor and outdoor voices? I'm just trying to show you the best way to relieve your pre-trial jitters. By scaring the daylights out of me? No, I find that shouting "I'm fine" in a loud voice really relieves stress. It's part of my Cords of Steel voice workout, and a must before every trial. You want me to shout here? That's right. Here, I'll go first and you try. I'm Apollo Justice, and I'm fine! Alright, I'm Athena Sykes. And I'm fine. I thought it actually worked. I thought it might help. Always works for me. An old friend of mine from junior high and I say it all the time. I see. A proven remedy to calm the soul. I like it. Hey, how about we finish off with a race around the courthouse? The point is to relieve stress, not get totally exhausted. What's with all the racket, you two? Oh, I miss his beanie cap.
This is clean cut.
I know. Mr. Wright. Heh, just a little voice workout. Hey, what's with the suit? Oh, this? I was thinking about getting my attorney's badge back, that's all. That's all? That's huge news. But why now? I have a feeling I'll be needed in the courtroom again sometime soon. But we can talk about that another time. No fair, inquiring minds want to know. But wow. I'm so used to him in his usual laid-back clothes. See, even Apollo was wondering. That suit makes him look like $1 million. Prosecutor assigned to this case. Yeah, he's serving time, but before... I've heard the rumors about how he was back before his conviction. Using the power of suggestion, he could make even the most stalwart defendants confess. Psychology in the courtroom. Been hearing a lot about that lately. So, he must be a pretty scary guy considering he's a prison inmate and all. So they say. They also say he'll cut you down if you talk too much. I knew he was going to be bad news. Ha ha ha, it's probably just hyperbole. At least I hope for your sake. Wait, so is it true or not? Let's just say you should be concise and choose your words carefully. If you'd like to keep that head of yours attached to the rest of your body, that is. Yikes, better tone down my cords of steel, too. Well, this sounds like the opposite of Clavier, who just wanted the truth and would help you sometimes.
I ended up the douchebag one was the nicer, or the more appropriate, truthful one, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much, of those two brothers. So are you all ready? It might be a good idea to check the court record again before stepping into the ring. Right, Mr. Wright, but I'm fine. I'll be watching from the gallery. Good luck. Thanks. Okay, let's do this. The odds of pulling this off are ridiculously low, but that's nothing new. Believe in our client, seek the truth, that's all we can do. Hang in there, Mayor Tenma. Here comes justice. God, I hope this Blackwell guy doesn't update the autopsy.
Didn't she say he was a murderer or something?
I mean, I know he was convicted, serving time, and I know it was something bad. Court is now in session for the trial of Damien Tenma. Apollo Justice, Defense Team Leader. Ready, Your Honor. I'd know that big booming voice anywhere, as chipper as ever, eh, Mr. Justice? But who was the young lady next to you? I'm Athena Sykes, Mr. Justice's junior partner and fresh out of law school.
Didn't we already have trials with her?
No, this is her first one. This is back in time.
I'm an idiot.
Well now, full of beans too, eh? Excellent. Makes an old man feel young again. Now for the prosecution. It appears the prosecution is not ready yet. Never fear, for I shall explain. It's just a minor procedural complication, Your Honor. The prosecutor for this case is being escorted from prison as we speak. Prison? Oh yes, of course. I almost forgot that he is currently serving time.
This is weird.
Yeah.
He's got hair like Cliffy or something.
Yep, Prosecutor Blackwell's an inmate.
Oh my god, it looks like Joker from Persona 5.
But even a convicted murderer still got a job to do and duties to perform.
Is that your phone? She is getting her phone. It was ringing in the other room. Oh, wait 1 second for her. Got it?
It was a scam. It was like a false alarm.
Scam? Alright. He is turning his back to us.
He's got a Hannibal Lecter mask on or something?
No, he doesn't. Who's that with his back to us over there? That's him. I'm sure of it. Prosecutor Blackquill. Ahem, is the prosecution ready? Enough jabbering. Get on with it already. Ah, of course, forgive me. Why are all the people related to this case so scary? Very well, Prosecutor Blackquill, your opening statement, if you please. Oh, he's still cuffed, even in the prosecutor's stand.
Oh my.
What's the matter? Must we continue to fritter away time like this? It is all right there in the indictment. An opening statement would be pointless. Pointless? Oh, well... Looks like the cat, or in this case the prosecutor, has the judge's tongue. But we need an opening statement as an overview of the case at hand. Well then, your baldness, if it's so very important, why don't you do the honors? Who? Me? There's a term for people who whine and fuss about how they need silly, useless things, and then decide they no longer want them once it's theirs. A selfish old fool. Huh? Wait, was that the prosecution's opening statement? Old dotards such as you are a plague upon the young. I pity your poor grandchildren. Or is it great-grandchildren? All these years, I thought the opening statement was the prosecutor's job. But I suppose I could give it a try. Might be a nice change of pace.
Why is he a judge?
What? He actually fell for that. That must have been the power of suggestion Mr. Wright was talking about. The opening statement, huh? Let's see here. The victim was one Rex Cuby, alderman of Nine Tails Vale. And the defendant Damien Tenma, mayor of Tenma Town, is accused of his murder. And why, pray tell, was the mayor arrested? His prints were on the murder weapon. Plus he had a motive, the elimination of the biggest roadblock to the municipal merger. The caretaker and the secretary, other potential suspects, both have alibis. And his daughter, who was also in the vicinity at the time of the incident, has no motive. So in a nutshell, I'd have to say the charges against the defendant are incontrovertible. Bravo, your baldness. Your years of experience shine bright like your head. Ho, 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 flattery will get you everywhere. He's playing Simon Says with the judge. Moving right along now, let's hear from our first witness for today, Detective Fulbright. Witness, please state your name and occupation. I am the detective assigned to this case, Bobby Fulbright. Oh, and I'll be keeping tabs on old Blackwell here. I also heard you would provide protection if it ever came to that. It would seem that I have been sorely underestimated. Wait, who's protecting who from what? Still, I truly believe anyone can turn their life around, even old Blackwell here. Fulbright, save your platitudes for funerals. Get on with your statement. Ha ha ha, that's the spirit. Justice must be swift and true. I see it in your eyes. There is hope for your rehabilitation and return to society. I will never give up on you. Prosecutor Blackwell doesn't seem to intimidate Detective Fulbright. Well, you know what they say, ignorance is bliss. Oh, so that's why Detective Fulbright was assigned to Blackwell. He's so oblivious. Now, let's have your first statement, Detective Fulbright. You got it, but first I'd like to say to the defense that justice will ultimately prevail. First testimony. Alright. Alderman QB was murdered with a spear that had been on the wall. The fingerprints of the defendant, Damien Tenma, were found on the murder weapon. At the time, Alderman QB was asleep from a drug he unwittingly ingested. Mayor Tenma attacked his helpless victim, impaling him like a human shish kebab. But the sudden pain jolted the victim awake, and he grabbed the statue and struck back. Alderman QB had been slipped some kind of sleep-inducing drug.
Weren't they both drugged?
That's right, the accused was scared because the alderman was a former pro wrestler. So he slipped him a drug to make sure he'd be out cold and defenseless. Here's the autopsy report to prove it. The victim was also in a drug-induced slumber. And the victim managed to attack his attacker despite being impaled by a spear. That sounds almost superhuman. Is it even possible? Well, he was a former pro wrestler after all. That spear was probably nothing more than a mosquito bite to him, even though he's dead. Not so fast. Don't try to brush it all off. I say the alderman had been a pro wrestler. Do you really expect us to believe he could fight back after being skewered by a spear? Never heard of the incredible feats of which a man is capable of in a pinch, have you? Like the samurai of yore, wrestlers can battle through intense pain. It sharpens their senses. I used to talk about with a former wrestler I met in the clink. I don't know. It still sounds a little far-fetched. Does it now? Then perhaps we should test the theory on you with the edge of my blade.
Is he a cutter? He likes to cut things?
Well, Phoenix Wright did say if you value your head on your body. I didn't sign up for this. And so your life is spared. For now. Please let those shackles be made of titanium. I don't want to die. Ha ha, my investigations are as thorough as they are foolproof, or my name isn't Fulbright. I vow to resign immediately if I ever make a false arrest.
Oops.
Yeah, he's gonna make one by the end of the case. The accused prints were on the weapon, and he's the one person without an alibi. Quite decisive evidence. Wouldn't you agree, your baldness? The defendant is sounding guiltier by the minute. He has the judge leaning toward a guilty verdict, and the trial's just barely begun. What's more, a curious rumor about the accused is making the rounds. They say he seeks the merger for the purpose of freeing Tenma Taro from his imprisonment. Truth be told, I can think of no real reason to show interest in that backwards burg. Perhaps he's a complete nutter and really does seek to release an imaginary demon. Either way, he is raving mad and more than capable of murdering the alderman. The mayor is a strange one, all right. I heard he went to a blood drive, but instead of donating, he tried to make a withdrawal. Order, there will be no gossiping in my court. Your baldness. Please take a gander at those charms plastered across his cranium. I hear they're meant to keep him safe from possession by the demon Tenma Taro. Then again, perhaps he's already under the demon's spell. Behold, the lunatic appears poised to lunge at you at any moment. The rumors and quirks of Mayor Tenma have no relevance to this case. Besides, those charms on his head, they're just a fashion statement, I think. Come to think of it, such things don't seem relevant to the case, do they? The prosecution will refrain from dragging our client's reputation through the mud. Oh, what a dreadfully fearsome lass we have here. Phew, thanks for that lifeline, Athena. Careful, Apollo, he has the judge dancing in the palm of his hand. The power of suggestion is one of the more powerful tools in Simon Blackwell's arsenal. He's trying to manipulate everyone's impressions to suit his objectives. This guy really is bad news. In any case, it seems the victim did manage to defend himself despite being impaled. What sort of weapon did he use against his attacker? None other than this statue right here. It appears to be a statue of two strange creatures locked in battle. Two yokai, to be exact. On one side is the nine-tailed fox, and on the other, Tenma. Quite interesting, if you think about it. It's as though this very case were rendered in art. Mr. Justice, you may proceed with your cross-examination. Alderman Cubey was murdered with a spear that had been on the wall. Before anything, let's just take a quick look at this. So, stabbed with a spear around 3:20. Victim had been in a drug-induced slumber. Pilcher's TV program guy. The afternoon wrestling match was a total disaster. Fled for the foyer. The weapon used to bludgeon the mayor. The mayor's blood was found on it, but no prints could be lifted. Okay. Let's start pressing. So, those weapons on the wall of the Fox chamber, I presume those are real. Oh, do you think keeping real weapons around like that is rather dangerous? No matter what he collected, the alderman insisted it be the real deal. For instance, he had a real demon's club in his possession. Apparently, one of his ancestors claimed it after defeating a demon in battle. What? That's got to be an old wives' tale. Ha ha ha! The alderman had pure, unadulterated justice flowing in his veins. Whatever he did it right. We've lost a real champion of justice in his death. I haven't seen him do that yet.
You're crying?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Nothing but claptrap and boulderdash, if you ask me. Now stop your bleeding and tell us about the weapon. Your wish is my command. The fingerprints of the defendant, Damien Tenma, were found on the murder weapon. It doesn't make sense if you think about it. Prints could be easily wiped off. You do have a point there. I'd venture to say he did not wipe off the prints because he could not. What do you mean? Looks like he wants you to figure it out. Well, don't just stand there, show him who's boss. I'm totally lost, so why don't you just tell me the answer already? I don't think he saw that plea for help. You feeling alright, kid? Running a fever, perhaps? I wish trials came with a reset button. Well, the specifics may yet come to light. Please proceed, Detective Fulbright. At the time, Alderman Cubey was asleep from a drug he unwittingly ingested. Come to think of it, a coffee cup was found on the floor. Was the sedative in his coffee? Bingo, we found traces of a sleeping agent all over the inside of the cup. And that is why he was out cold. That is until he leapt to his feet upon being impaled by the mayor. What an awful way to wake up. Heh, a rather stimulating eye-opener if you ask me. I too would have risen to the attack, for to die in battle is the samurai way. Paradise awaits fallen heroes, but that hole in his stomach would make eating a challenge. Prosecutor Blackwell, please, those morbid jokes of yours have no place in this court. Humph, says the jester and detectives guys. Moving right along. Mayor Tenma attacked his helpless victim, impaling him like a human shish kebab. So the alderman was drugged because he was really strong. Did you see those rock-hard muscles of his? I'm surprised the spear even managed to pierce that armor-like musculature. I admit, I'm completely jealous of that righteous body of his, ha ha ha. Well, he did look pretty buff, even in that suit he had on. Quite a difference when compared with a yellow belly like you. Yellow belly? Who even says that anymore? Yeah, and the color's all wrong, too. Ooh, I know, how about a squishy red tomato? A move to Mr. Justice's character is not the issue here. Now let's get back to what happened after the far more muscular alderman was impaled. Yes, well, your average person would likely have died on the spot. But the sudden pain jolted the victim awake, and he grabbed the statue and struck back.
Hold it!
Then got back on the table impaled.
Yeah, apparently. Fell backwards. Could he really have attacked his attacker after being impaled with a huge spear? Absolutely. After all, he was once a pro wrestler. The injustice of being drugged and speared was answered with a righteous counterattack. But does being a former pro wrestler make him superhuman? Absolutely. After all, he was one of the good guys, like a superhero on the side of justice. Even though he was retired, he could still don his superhero guise in times of need. You need to lay off the comic books, detective. We're talking about real life here. Setting aside the half-wits flights of fancy, the fact is this. The court-ordered post-mortem concluded the victim moved after his skewering. So he found the strength somehow to attack his attacker, huh? Detective Fulbright's testimony sounds airtight. No wonder he's so confident. No, he only thinks it's airtight. It's up to us to poke some holes in it. That part about the alderman fighting back sounds like a big hole waiting to be poked. Okay, so... let's see what we would have. Use to bludgeon the mayor.
I wonder if it's the picture of him impaled.
Oh yeah, I didn't even...
Because, like, you got tracks there, you have feathers there, there's no blood trail going over to the one that he hit in the head. He'd be losing so much blood.
And like, he would walk back. Yeah, that's the thing, the blood is only on that area.
And it's like he fell back and didn't move.
Yeah. It does seem weird. Apparently he did move, but I can't imagine he moved much.
How did he move?
Well, it said the post-mortem said that he did move a bit after the attack. That doesn't mean he attacked our defendant, but it doesn't look like he moved much.
No.
So, okay, let's go with it.
Objection!
Oh, the music's still going. This statement clearly contradicts the evidence. I object to you on personal grounds. The sole contradiction lies in what your faulty logic dreamt up just now. Ack. Objection overruled. The defense will now think twice before making such erroneous
What
statements.
does the report say? Pull that one up.
Yeah, let's take a look. Sudden pain jolted the victim awake, and he grabbed the statue and struck back.
I think it's that, because it doesn't say that he could move.
Okay.
Objection!
Oh dear.
No? I don't understand.
Let's see. see. Wait a minute. That's the thing. How come there are no prints that can be lifted on the weapon he used if he's not wearing gloves?
Objection!
That's it?
Probably. Did the alderman really strike the mayor? What? Are you questioning my sense of justice? Your so-called justice needs to find itself a pair of legs to stand on. I think we were just overthinking it, babe. You claim the alderman struck back after the mayor put a spear through him, but the statue he supposedly used to defend himself creates a major hole in your theory. It would appear that the defense has a counter-argument. Very well, let's hear what the defense thinks is odd about the detective statue theory. There are no fingerprints. There are no fingerprints on this supposedly crucial piece of evidence, and if you look at the crime scene photo, you'll notice that the alderman isn't wearing gloves. Yes, I believe he is quite gloveless indeed. If he touched the statue with his bare hands, he should have left some fingerprints. Detective Fulbright, you did take that into account during your investigation, didn't you? Arr, this can't be happening. Did I arrest the wrong man? You did it, Apollo. You knocked Detective Fulbright off his high horse. Well, it's just 1 point in our favor. Who do you suppose clubbed the mayor if it wasn't the alderman? Well, if it wasn't the alderman, that means someone else must have clubbed the mayor. You mean there was a third party there in the Fox chamber? Exactly, and this could be the big break we've been looking for. There does seem to be a hole in the prosecution's argument. Prosecutor Blackwell, would you care to respond to the defense's assertion?
I don't understand why he turns backwards.
The least you could do is look at me while being dismissive. Your mind is as dull as an unhoned blade, Justice Dono. Justice Dono? He's been watching too many samurai flicks. It will take far more than that to cut down Simon Blackwell. A whelp such as you has no hope against my superior swordsmanship. This is a trial, not a sword fight, Prosecutor Blackwell. There is a perfectly good explanation for the lack of prints on the statue. You might recall that blood-stained cloth found at the scene of the crime. Well, it just so happens that the blood was the mayor's. So, what are you getting at? Hone your mind, boy. Why was there blood on that cloth? Solve that riddle and you shall see that the hole you thought you found is but an illusion. Now, let's see. How was that cloth used? Was it used to wipe up blood, to wrap up the statue, by QB as a head covering? I mean, I guess to wipe up blood, although I don't get why the victim would be wiping up the blood. Or why our defendant would wipe up anything.
I think it was to wrap the statue. So he wrapped it around the base to hit him in the head.
Ah, okay.
But that's a lot of thinking and time to do
Yeah.
when you're stabbed with a spear.
Yeah, I don't understand. Maybe the alderman wrapped the statue in the cloth. In short, he wasn't touching the statue directly when he used the strike back at the mayor. Ah! Precisely, bully for you, boy. It was nothing. Apollo, don't let him start manipulating you, too. I did? I did. Right, that a statue wrapped in cloth would leave no fingerprints is as plain as day, but this also proves there are no holes in our theory of the alderman striking back. Oops. Arr. Now do you see how dull your mind is? I'll make sure to sharpen it next time. A particularly frightening inmate once told me that he always tenderly honed his blades before he went to work, like the samurai of yore. Samurai? Sounds more like a homicidal maniac to me. Actually, he was working in the prison kitchen at the time. Wait, so the inmate was a murdering samurai prison chef? It would seem that the victim and his killer were the only ones there after all. I was kinda attached to that hole, now what? Apollo, I just thought of something. If they didn't find anyone's fingerprints on the statue, who's to say someone other than the alderman didn't hit the mayor with it? Why didn't I think of that? Anybody could have not left prints on it. Then who, pray tell, struck the mayor with the statue? Please illuminate us with your wisdom, young lady. There's only one answer. The real killer. Prove the existence of this real killer, then. What evidence have you? Oh, I'll give you evidence, all right. Athena, are you sure about this? To borrow your words, Apollo, I'm fine. Take a look at this. Black feathers and tracks allegedly from a yokai were found at the scene. I believe they're from the third party who struck the mayor with that statue. Is the defense actually suggesting some sort of monster killed that alderman? That's exactly what I'm suggesting. No, Athena, you just lost what little credibility we had left. Ah! Sorry. Guess I got carried away. Mr. Justice, we've no time to deal with objections between members of the defense. Sorry, Your Honor, it's just this kid's still, well, a kid. Ouch. You mean I'm reporting this to Mr. Wright. So, is this court to believe the feathers and tracks are from a yokai, as you put it? No, Your Honor, I believe they are a fabrication. The real killer wants us to believe some sort of monster murdered the alderman. Interesting. And why do you suppose the killer would do that? Why indeed? Mr. Justice, you seem as new to this as your partner is. Ouch. This I'm not reporting to Mr. Wright. Hoy, Fulbright. Explain to his baldness what these brats are missing. You know, the who and why behind those feathers and tracks. What? You mean you can explain all that? Ha ha ha. Our investigative prowess is without equal. I'm starting to think I chose the wrong profession. Very well, let's hear about these so-called yokai feathers and tracks. The entire case centers on one man's attempt to cross opposition to the municipal merger. Mayor Tenma panicked when the amazing Ninetales helped embolden the protesters, so he stoked the villagers' fears by fabricating a monster. The strange feathers and tracks he planted made it look like a yokai was the killer. Those feathers and tracks stoked the villagers' fears. Absolutely, he knew exactly how to prey on their superstitious minds. Those feathers only gave weight to the idea that the alderman was slain by a demon. The accursed demon Tenma Taro, that is. Tenma who? Tenma Taro, the legendary demon locked away in the village's forbidden chamber. From a young age, the villagers are taught to fear the great black-feathered demon, and thus were they blinded to other, more plausible explanations. Hold on for a second. Before we start letting our imaginations run wild, isn't there someone else that could be considered a suspect? Mr. Justice, please explain yourself. On the day of the incident, there was a special event held by QB Manor, and as part of this event, there was someone dressed in the likeness of Tenma Taro. Legendary demon. Dullard, you are playing right into the killer's mind games. What? Listen here. The feathers and tracks were merely red herrings. The villagers believed the murder to be the work of the real Tenma Taro. However, the police believed that the person in the Tenma Taro suit is the killer. Ah. The defendant sought to sow this confusion in order to deflect blame away from himself. However, he was knocked unconscious by the alderman, and thus our mentally deficient mayor was caught red-handed at the scene of the crime. Do you honestly believe Mayor Tenma would do something so stupid? The evidence speaks for itself, Fulbright. Right, it was the mayor's last-ditch effort to stop the opposition before things got crazy. The amazing Ninetales was fueling both the yokai craze and the anti-merger movement. Plus, he's one of the better-known masked wrestlers and the hometown favorite. That's why the mayor panicked and set out on the path of injustice. But do the people of Ninetales Vale really believe a yokai is behind the crime? Yokai sightings are an everyday event there, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I must say, a crime that preys upon innocent, impressionable minds. Just so, a particularly silver-tongued inmate once had the following words for me. The innocent of heart are the easiest prey. You don't say. Was this inmate a con artist? No. He was framed for the murder of his beloved. I actually felt sorry for the poor chap. Wait, so he wasn't the predator, but rather the prey? Yes, well, now then the defense may proceed with their cross-examination.
Hold it!
Detective Fulbright, is the anti-merger movement really that strong? Oh, absolutely. They parade around in yokai costumes shouting, "Down with Mayor Tenma." And just the other day, they stormed Tenma City Hall, claiming it was a den of vipers. But when the accused showed his face, the angry mob scattered like leaves upon an autumn wind. For you see, lowly yokai are no match for Tenma Tara, the dark lord of their kind. Wait, are the villagers scared of Mayor Tenma or Tenma Tara? I'm confused. I think he means Mayor Tenma. It's easy to get the wrong impression about the guy. Detective Fulbright, why do you suppose the defendant would commit such an act? Mayor Tenma panicked when the amazing Ninetales helped embolden the protesters. The amazing Ninetales, no one knows his true identity, right? That's right. And he was a lone wolf, or in other words, he didn't belong to a wrestling federation. He appeared like a shooting star, defeating one Tenma Town wrestler after another. And before anyone knew it, he was champion. Like the samurai of yore, surrounded thick with enemies, he cut them down one by one. It was a complete and utter loss of face for Tenma Town Pro Wrestling. He was amazing. If there was ever a real superhero, it would be him. I dream of becoming a true champion of justice like him someday. I bet Detective Fulbright would be a great pro wrestler. He could even team up with Prosecutor Blackwell. A police detective and a prisoner in chains? You know, I think people would actually pay to see that. I know I would. Ha ha ha. So you do understand the greatness that is Amazing Ninetales. Did the murder and yokai evidence really stoke the villagers' fears? Absolutely, it had an immediate effect. The presumed return of the dreaded Tenma Taro has them shaking in their boots. Oh my, is it really that bad? That superstitious lot? It's as if Jack the Ripper had been set loose in their village. The mere thought of that demon lurking about is enough to spark a mass exodus. I see. That's a very persuasive argument. The mere thought of his honor buying into Simon the Psycho Slasher's words makes me want to spark my own exodus out of the courtroom right about now. So you see, there can be only one reason why anyone would plant those feathers in tracks. The strange feathers and tracks he planted made it look like a yokai was the killer. But it doesn't add up. If what you say is true, why top it off with murder? What do you mean? You claim that our client planted the yokai. Excellent point. It is, isn't it? So Your Honor agrees that there was no reason for the murder, correct? Perhaps the killing was on the spur of the moment? You're saying it wasn't premeditated. From the outset, I had no intention of paying heed to any of your babble. However, the fact is, the mayor made a startling discovery. A startling discovery? Why don't I like the sound of that? Alderman QB's secret identity. Apollo. I think Prosecutor Blackwell has figured out the Alderman's secret identity. But even if he has, why would it be a motive for the mayor to commit murder? This is not good. This patch of fur was discovered at the crime scene. It's from the mask worn by the amazing Ninetales. Therefore, we can conclude that this mask was at the crime scene. Oh my, but why would it have been there? The victim was a former pro wrestler and a member of the anti-merger movement. Need I say more? Well, could it really be? Your baldness has had an epiphany, I see. Our victim, Rex Cubey, was the amazing Ninetales, and the mayor's discovery of this fact was his motive for murder.
What? How can you get the mask out and then still be there, hit over the head? And like if it's not premeditated, then where do you get the feathers and the weird footprints from?
Yeah, it's the whole thing is full of holes. What a shocking development, a motive clearer than crystal clear. What do we do now, Apollo? I didn't think they'd tie the alderman's secret identity to the mayor's motive for murder. At last, we've reached my real point. Why did the alderman have to forge a secret identity? Does it not pique your interest, your baldness? I admit it does. It is odd that he had to create this other persona, just to secretly participate in the anti-merger movement. Very astute of you, your baldness. Right, now take a look at this. If you value your dearest life, you will merge Ninetails Vale with Tenma Town. Do not tell anyone about this threat. If you do, consider your dearest as good as dead. This blackmail letter was found in Alderman Cuby's pocket. What? At present, the alderman's wife is in the hospital, and that letter is clear evidence the mayor was blackmailing him by threatening her life. Wait, didn't the blackmail letter sent to Mayor Tenma go missing? Right after the alderman's murder? You think maybe the killer took the letter from the mayor after the murder? And planted it into the alderman's pocket? It's possible, but we don't have any proof that that's what happened. Talk about being up the creek without a paddle. So that's probably our defendant's blackmail letter then. Mayor Tenma would have made a clean getaway if he just left after planning the yokai things, but he was knocked out cold by a sudden decision to kill the Amazing Ninetails. So it was the Amazing Ninetails' counterattack that brought the entire crime to light. Wait a sec. Fulbright's claiming that the mayor killed the alderman after planting the yokai evidence, and that the mayor was knocked out cold immediately after that. Detective Fulbright, please add your previous statement to your testimony. So, let's press him first, and then look through the evidence. So let me get this straight. You believe the mayor planted the yokai evidence before the murder, not after? Absolutely, and then he was knocked out cold by the alderman's last punch. He wouldn't have had a chance to plant the evidence after that. Something's not right here. Hard to believe that a stiff, humorless man like the mayor could be behind such a stunt. Alright, we have to do something, Apollo, before they pin it all on the mayor. Then we're going to need to prove that Mayor Tenma didn't plant the yokai stuff. How are we supposed to do that? Well, it doesn't make sense if he wasn't going to kill him to be planting stuff to blame the murder on. How do we present that, is what I'm trying to figure out. Let's see. Also, he was also in a drug-induced slumber, wasn't he?
I wonder if it has to do with the pictures, like where they're placed. How could he do the footprints? The blood would already have been spilled.
That's true. I like how you think. Let's try it.
Objection!
Yeah! Go, girl. Detective Fulbright, your sense of justice is anything but fair. What's this? You dare question my justice again? Yes, and I'm going to prove it to you. Take a look at this photo. This is the crime scene photo, and just what does this prove? It proves when the feathers and tracks were planted. But I already told you they were planted before the murder. The defendant planted the yokai evidence, then was knocked out while killing his victim. But that would be impossible. If you look right here, it's clear when the feathers and tracks were left at the scene, so the bloody footprints.
Take that!
Aren't you just pointing to the yokai feathers and tracks, Mr. Justice? Yes, see how the feathers are on top of the blood, and the tracks were made in blood? In other words, the yokai's evidence could have only resulted after the murder. Then the mayor must have planted the evidence after killing the alderman. But you said it yourself, the mayor had been knocked unconscious thereafter. There would have been no time for him to plant any evidence at all. Therefore, there must have been someone else besides the mayor and the alderman at the crime scene. You go. You got it. There must be some mistake.
I think he's kind of like Gumshoe. I don't think he's a bad person. I just don't think he knows
He's
doing
not that bright, but instead of like that blue-collar, more middle-aged Gumshoe, this is more like a young guy who cares and is also kind of dumb. Order! Where's your evidence? You can't possibly have any, can you? Ha 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 ha. Evidence? Oh, I have evidence. In fact, I have an eyewitness's testimony for you. You do? But how? Was my bonded sense of justice really just half-baked? He's taking this really hard. Mr. Justice, what is this testimony regarding a third party that you claim to have? I have it right here, Your Honor. It's the sworn testimony of Mr. Tenma's daughter. The witness, Jinxie Tenma, saw a yokai in the hallway after stumbling upon the scene. It was the demon Tenma Taro. He's the source of those feathers and tracks. Will somebody please say something? The defense will explain to the court exactly what he means. You dare to mock this court and justice itself? You're unfit to bear your name, boy. Your baldness, it appears our defense attorney here is delirious from exhaustion. Apollo, think of something quick before you're held in contempt of court. What do you think I'm trying to do? Before you decide whether I should step down, please hear me out. Very well, Mr. Justice, I'm all ears, but you had better explain yourself well. What was this yokai you were talking about? It's all in the statement here. Jinxie Tenma asserts that she saw Tenma Taro. After she discovered the crime scene and called the police, she came around a corner in the hall. It was around here. Then she saw Tenma Taro fleeing toward the foyer. The defense asserts that whoever was impersonating this monster is the one who left those feathers and tracks behind, intentionally or otherwise. What? How incredibly unjust. Why haven't I heard about this before? The defense just proved there was someone else, so the mayor isn't the killer? Was it all a setup? The prosecutor is a convicted felon after all. Oh, Apollo, the momentum has shifted in our favor. Good, now let's keep it that way. She's not intimidated by him. I dig. But of course, we're thinking she has experience. Little do you realize that though you are in the midst of a fray, your sword is broken. My sword? I didn't know I had one to break. Are you implying there's a problem with my claim? Consider this. If that yokai impersonator had indeed fled toward the foyer, that fool and that fop would have seen him.
No, he was watching that game.
Yep.
Or wrestling.
The match that was bad. Oh, you mean Filch and LaBelle. Now that you mention it. Both Phineas Filch and Florent LaBelle were in the foyer at the time, but they haven't stated that they saw a yokai, have they? Did you ever consider that yokai was but a figment of a scared little girl's imagination? Why didn't those two see the Tenma Taro impersonator pass by? Why don't we ask them ourselves? I was just about to say that myself. No, really, I was. The defense would like to call Mr. Phineas Filch, caretaker of QB Manor, to the stand. I just know he must have seen something. I suppose we can't ignore the fact that the little girl believes she saw a monster. I trust you have no objections to Mr. Justice's request, Prosecutor Blackwell? I understand that Mr. Filch is enjoying a nap out in the lobby. I knew that Tanuki was a rare find. But when we captured him, I didn't think he'd end up a witness. Do with him as you will. Did he just say captured? No way, I don't want to know. Very well then, bailiff, please go wake Mr. Filch and escort him to the witness stand. Will the witness state his name and occupation, please? The name's Filch, Phineas Filch, caretaker of QB Manor. Oh, and this is for you, your lordship. Just a little something I thought you might like. Oh my, what a fabulous pair of shoes!
Aren't
And
those the detective shoes?
yeah, aren't they? And Your Honor will do just fine, Mr. Filch. Ah, it's those shoes again. Don't they belong to Detective Fulbright? Don't tell me Filch stole them again. They're all yours, Your Honorship, sir. What? But they seem awfully expensive. Yep, too expensive for me, but I reckon they'd be perfect for someone like Your Honorship. It's a kind gesture, but legal ethics dictate I can't accept such gifts. Aw, ethics methics. Just take him if you want him. Polished him up real nice for you, too. I'm sorry about the shoes, Mr. Filch, but I will accept your testimony. The court would like to hear whether you saw Tenmataro in the foyer after the murder. At the time of the murder, I was on guard duty in the foyer, just like Mr. Cuby asked. I was making sure no one, fair, foul, fishy, or otherwise, could get to our guest. I was still in my office keeping a good watch when the murder happened after 3 p.m., but I didn't see nothing out of the ordinary, no siree.
He was watching.
Yeah, he was watching wrestling. I don't know if we use that now, or if,
Where it says at 3 p.m. that he was on duty, blah, 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 presented there.
yeah, because let me look at the court record again. Yeah, it was 3. I doubt it was over in 2 minutes. You never saw anyone dressed up like Tenmataro. Yep, was guarding the whole time. That's the truth, the holy truth, and nutter butter the truth. And Tenmataro? Bah, you don't really believe in all that yokai mumbo-jumbo, do ya? I certainly don't.
Oh, he does.
Ooh. My bracelet, it's... Something the matter, Apollo? My bracelet keeps squeezing my arm. Really? So you think Mr. Filch has been lying to us? I wouldn't rule it out. Oh, so I think we have to perceive him first. Now, if I could just zero in on a tell, some sort of nervous habit... Screech! Ah! What in the... What's a hawk doing in here? Allow me to introduce my trusty cohort, Taka. He seems to have taken quite a liking to the courthouse. Made it his new home, in fact. He doesn't live with you. You know, in jail. Who's ever heard of a courthouse bird? Taka simply loads trickery and fraud, and that queer power of yours seems to have offended my dear bosom buzzard. This isn't some sort of trick or... Ah! I won't be able to spot squat like this. What the heck's going on round here? Run for the hills! No pets or other animals allowed in the courtroom. Ah, somebody help! Oh, he's merely having a bit of sport. He won't harm you, save when truly famished. In that case, Prosecutor Blackwell, you will ensure your feathered friend is properly fed. Looks like we have to do this the old-fashioned way. We'll be fine, I think. If there was someone dressed as Tenmataro there, Filch would have seen him. We'll just have to put our faith in Jinxie's statement for now. Mr. Justice, please proceed with your cross-examination. So we can't perceive because of the bird. That's weird.
Well, the bird perceives you perceiving.
Yeah.
Look at what Tanuki means, and it means like Japanese raccoon dog.
Okay. That's what he called us?
That's what they're calling this man on this Tanuki.
Don't lie to the court like that, Mr. Filch. Hey, it ain't right to bushwhack a fella like that. Unfortunately for you, I have evidence that proves you're lying. If you look at this TV listing here, you'll see that at the time of the crime, there was a pro wrestling match scheduled, something you'd never miss. Ah! I didn't watch that one, no siree, I was doing my job like I was supposed to. This guy doesn't know when to give up. Mr. Filch, someone even circled the match. It was you, right? Yipes. Not only that, you even told me you watched it. You said, and I quote, "It was a complete disaster." Huh? So, do you admit to slacking off? You can't trick me with your Rudy Poo lawyer talk. My god. Is he The Rock? I'm one of them professional types, too. I can do double duty watching TV and the foyer at the same time. The only thing Filch can claim to be a professional of is professional thief. Mr. Justice, you would have this court believe the witness was slacking off. That's correct. He claims to have been watching TV in the foyer at the same time, but that's nothing but a bald-faced lie. Bald, you say? But I'm not the one who's lying. Perhaps you mean the witness, Mr. Justice. And in that case, let's see what evidence you can offer. You claim Mr. Filch is lying about watching TV and the foyer simultaneously. Now, prove it.
There's a camera that records the foyer.
Yeah. There's that. So let's see.
Well, I don't know if that...
Well, also, the TV is facing the right.
Yeah.
He can't do it. So it's the right evidence, though.
Take that!
Please take a look at the direction the TV is facing in this diagram. Now, unless Mr. Filch has eyes where his right ear should be, I think it would be impossible to watch the foyer entrance and the TV at the same time. Why, yes, someone watching TV there couldn't possibly see the entrance. Exactly, and that means, Mr. Filch, you were slacking off and were not watching the foyer as you claim. Yipes! The bag's out of the cat. Or, I mean, the other way around. Order, 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 but Mr. Justice, is Mr. Filch's less than stellar work ethic relevant to this case? It's very relevant, because while he was slacking off watching TV, there really could have been a Ten Mataro impersonator in the foyer. What now? Granted, this Tanuki was lax in his duties, but he still had the foyer entrance covered. What are you talking about? This. I'm not a mind reader. Ack? Auditory sense. His eyes may have been slacking off, but his ears were still hard at work, right, Tanuki? They were? Or, I mean, yes they were. But you already admitted to slacking off. Now you say you weren't. My eyes might be lazy, but my ears ain't. That would have hurt anyone in the foyer, eh? You see... Kitty! Down! 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 There we go. You see, the foyer floor and stairway get all creaky-squeaky when someone walks on them. Creak, creak, creak. Loud enough to wake the dead, I reckon. So you're saying you didn't hear anybody walk by? Yep, my ears were working full time. So who's the liar now, you no good shyster? A lion thief calling me a shyster. This has to be the low point of my fledgling career. Gotta hand it to you, Mr. Blackwell, sir. You really are something else, heh. I mean, you don't miss a thing. And them bags under your eyes, they're darker than mine. Fair warning, Mr. Filch. Taka is particularly fond of Tanuki. Should you lie to this court again, you may suddenly find yourself on the menu. Yikes! Please believe me, Mr. Taka, sir. The witness will henceforth testify truthfully under penalty of painful bird attacks. And with that in mind, the court requests that the witness revise his testimony accordingly. It's true, I was watching a pro wrestling match on the office TV. My eyes might have been slacking off, but my ears, they were working overtime. The floor there is all creaky, squeaky like. No way I would have missed someone walking by. So you see, there weren't no Ten Mataro in the foyer. Superstition is the religion of feeble minds. Understand? A simple, rational explanation is the best. Forget yokai, demons, and such. We must use common sense, for lacking that, our entire world would be but upside down. Says the convict prosecutor who was totally a sign of the end times for the legal world. And besides, if there were any yokai roaming around, I'd nab him and sell him to the zoo. I wonder whether Jinxie was just seeing things. That seems to be the general consensus, but I'm sticking to my guns.
We have footprints of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, she really saw it.
But what if we can't prove she saw Ten Mataro? If we can't prove it, the mayor's sure to be convicted. Then we'd better hope my guns fire bullets, not BBs. The defense may cross-examine the witness. I don't think it has anything to do with the first one.
Hold it!
You lied earlier about taking your guard duty seriously, didn't you? Oh, that? Ain't no harm in bending the truth a little, right? Listen to me, you little tanuki. Lie again, and Taka shall feast upon that forked tongue of yours. Yikes. Sorry. Just let me keep my tongue. At least leave it until we get the truth out of him in any case. You were negligent in your duties, were you not? Yes, sir, I was, sir, but I didn't like that. The floor there's all creaky-squeaky-like.
Hold it!
So you have pretty good ears, Mr. Filch. As good as they come, I'd say. Ain't nothing to hear a creaky floor. Plus, that Tenmataro makes a sound when he goes by. It's like a jingle-jangle. Jingle-jangle? How does he do that?
Oh yeah, also don't forget that, that Joker-looking thing told him to not say anything about seeing him, and he would know that they go jingle-jangle if he hadn't heard it go by before.
Exactly.
Remember when we ended last time, he was like, remember what we talked about?
Yeah, I remember that. And, I feel like this dude, the Tanuki, was going to say something. Jingle jangle, how does he do that? It's that staff of his. That's what jingle jangles.
And he's not depicted as ever carrying a staff in the scroll.
That's true. What's he talking about, Apollo? Beats me, but I guess Tenmataro has a staff that makes noise. Come to think of it, didn't Jinxie mention something like that too? She said she saw Tenmataro holding a staff-like object that made a jangly sound. I guess that's the source of the noise, then. Well, Mr. Justice, Mr. Filch says Tenmataro jingle jangles. Would you consider that vital information?
Very important.
Yes. Extremely vital. I request that it be added to his testimony. If Tenmataro was to pass by his staff, would have gone jingle jangle. So Tenmataro's staff makes a distinctive sound. Yep, like a jingle and a jangle. Wait, Jinxie said something like that. Something about Tenmataro making a jangly sound. I think we're missing something here, but I can't quite put a finger on it. Perhaps I should take a look at the court record
So you
again.
want to present the scroll, because he's never depicted as carrying the staff, but she saw him with the staff, which means this dude at some point has seen him as well.
Yeah.
This is historical, he's never depicted carrying one.
Okay, let's try it.
Objection!
Tenmataro's staff would make a jangly sound, you say? Well, I'm going to say that your story doesn't add up. Is there something defense would like to share with the court? Mr. Filch, you say that you didn't see Tenmataro on the day of the incident. Why then did you assume just now that Tenmataro would be holding a staff? Huh? You see, the Tenmataro Jinxie saw held a staff in his hands, and she described its sound just like you did, as a kind of jangly sound. Yeah, so he was holding a staff. What's your point? The point is that Tenmataro doesn't use a staff, not normally. You go, girl! What are you talking about? You see, this is the only known document depicting Tenmataro. Is there a staff in that picture, Mr. Filch? You're right. There's no staff, not even a cane or a walking stick. Ah! So the question is, why does the witness think Tenmataro uses a staff? I believe the answer will overturn the prosecution's case on the most basic level. Well now, this is getting interesting. Alright, Mr. Justice. It's time to show the court where you're going with this. Please tell the court why Mr. Filch believes Tenmataro carries a staff. He actually saw him. Yeah. Mr. Filch actually saw Tenmataro right after the crime occurred. That's the only way he could possibly know about the staff. Busted again! Bloody hell! Oh, what did he say? Yeah, how'd that feel, Black Quill? Bloody hell, you duplicitous little... Ah.
And he choked out his feather.
Nice to see him show a little emotion. Not so fun when you're on the receiving end of the blade, is it? Yeah, that felt good. Admit it, Mr. Filch. You did see Tenmataro that day, didn't you? Well? I'm begging you, please don't make me say it. But clearly you did see Tenmataro. Stop stalling and testify to that fact. No can do, no way, no how. You ain't got no idea how terrifying he can be. He? Mr. Filch still won't admit to seeing Tenmataro, even though everyone knows he did. The question now is why? Mr. Filch is scared to death. Is that why he can't admit the truth? Come to think of it. They say you must not gaze upon Tenmataro, but in the event that you do look, and then tell anyone what you saw, Tenmataro will claim your soul.
And he does believe in it.
Jinxie wouldn't admit to seeing Tenmataro after hearing about the village superstitions. She said that if she told anyone that she had seen Tenmataro, he'd claim her soul. The thing is, he was going to tell us the other day, wasn't he? Until the Joker Man, LaBelle, came? Wait, do you think Filch believes that too? Ah, so Mr. Big Time City Slicker Lawyer has heard about him. Them old village superstitions? Will the defense please explain what the witness is talking about? The people of Ninetails Vale believe some pretty strange things, and their superstitions may be the reason our witness here can't admit the truth. The truth that he really did see Tenmataro. Darn straight, that's why. It's all right here. Do not tell others if you see him. Ignoring the superstitions will cost you your soul. There is, however, one way to save it, your immediate departure from the village. Freeing him will bring ruin upon the village. Ignoring the superstitions will cost you your soul. See? That's why us folks in Ninetails Vale can't talk about seeing Tenmataro. That clears up one mystery. The killer took advantage of the superstitions by wearing a Tenmataro costume. They knew that way no one could talk about him, so if it was as if he never existed. The defense holds that this Tenmataro... What?
Objection!
Superstitions, you say? What kind of a fool would actually believe such rubbish? And would that using some silly fairy tale could so easily expose the culprit? You'll need to come up with a more rational, common-sense explanation than that. Your common sense seems awfully narrow-minded to me, Prosecutor Blackwell. Try living in my world of narrow cells, mortal danger, and dark sleepless nights. There is no lack of superstitions in the clink, but few are those who truly believe in them. Well, the village superstitions are real enough to the people of Ninetails Vale. A life or death superstition might even make you a believer. Order, I say. You fool of a Tanuki. 2 times now your lies have cost me. Sorry, I promise not to do it again.
The bird.
There it is. Taka, my fine feathered friend, have at him. Wow! What a courtroom. Yipes, it's gonna eat me alive. Head for the hills. Ah, he took off. Bailiff, what are you waiting for? After him with your fastest men. That's certainly not something you see every day. Well, it would seem a new and important fact has come to light. A third party disguised as the yokai Tenmataro was at the scene, and now we have 2 witnesses who can attest to that fact. Any objections, Prosecutor Blackwell? What? Uh-oh. What? Huh? Ah! His shackles. Urk! I'm too young to die. Justice Dono, long has it been since I've been forced to draw my blade. You had best say your prayers. Oh, thanks, Judge.
Why does he have weapons? He came from prison.
I know. How'd he get them? Detective, do something. Ha ha ha, have no fear, Fulbright is here. When the going gets tough, the champion of justice gets going. Then get going already before he kills us. Oh, but I stand in awe of Simon Blackwell, for it is his sense of justice that set him free. Objection, objection, I object to Detective Fulbright's definition of justice.
Silence!
I'm not in the habit of cutting down unarmed cowards. Oh, well, in that case, Prosecutor Blackwell, can I ask you to, you know... I think the judge forgot he's in charge here. So, Justice Dono's assertion is this. Tenma Taro is the real killer, not Mayor Tenma. According to him, there was a yokai at the scene of the crime. Right, and that yokai, or rather whoever was impersonating him, killed Alderman
Silence!
Creepy. Care to explain why Jinxie, being the first to discover the murder, did not see your alleged killer yokai there in the Fox Chamber? What? He's right, she said nothing about Tenma Taro being in the Fox Chamber. Let me enlighten you. That little scamp heard a dying scream right before she opened the chamber door. And your point is? Upon opening the door, she found a freshly skewed murder victim, the alderman, and the homicidal maniac who had killed him, the mayor. No, there must have been someone dressed up like Tenma. Ah! Then, why does that little scamp claim not to have seen a yokai in the Fox Chamber? Considering her father is accused of murder, surely she would have mentioned any third party that might have been in the room, the ear duct. I don't understand. Why didn't she see Tenma Taro inside the Fox Chamber? There is but one way to find out. Ask just Jinxie Tenma whether she saw your killer yokai at the scene of the crime. Uh-oh. The final battle draws nigh. Only one of us will leave here alive. Heh heh heh. Long has my blade thirsted for blood. At long last it shall be stated.
Why doesn't someone put him back in cuffs?
I know.
And why does he have blades?
Wait, this is still a trial, right? I long for the air guitar. Show me what you're truly capable of, Justice Dono. Very well then, both parties no doubt need some time to regroup, so the court will take a 10-minute recess in order to... Ag. 3 minutes. I'm sorry, but a 3-minute recess? Just so. Plenty of time if your destination of intent is the loo. The loo? You mean the bathroom? Jeez, at least include enough time to wash our hands. See that you take no more than 3 minutes. All latecomers will be punished. Yes, sir. I hereby declare a 3-minute recess before the battle begins. I declare Prosecutor Blackwell the winner of this round of Simon Says. Doesn't bode well for us that the prosecutor is running the show, does it? Don't make shackles like they used to. Better be careful, Apollo. You really brought out the samurai in him. Especially after you proved there was a Tenma Taro impersonator at the manor. What's with that guy and the whole samurai act, anyway? Such fine swordsmanship. That is no mere act. Mr. Justice, it's high time I challenge this jailhouse prosecutor to a duel. No, wait, let's save the dueling until after we prove your innocence. I suppose it could wait till later. Does anyone remember we're conducting a trial here? Athena, I'm gonna go wash up. Remember what Blackwell said, Apollo. Don't be late. Now then, I believe our next witness is Miss Jinxie Tenma, a maid at QB Manor. I believe we can proceed now, if the witness is ready, that is. Noriond, leader of the 100 Demons. He really does exist. Wow, that is one well-polished tray. The witness will show her face while in court, or her testimony will be inadmissible. Eek! What is it, my child? Begone, Nuranhion, leader of 100 Demons. Ho ho ho, you think I'm a yokai? Well, I was known as a judicial monster of sorts. The beast of the bar, the demon of due process, if you will. Eek! My charm has no effect. The demon of due process? Not sure I can see that one. Now, you little scamp. Yes?
What's he calling her a scamp?
I don't know. He has something for all of us. Justice Dono. What is it? His baldy, your baldness?
Your baldness.
And then now a little scam. I trust you know why you're here. Bags. Bags? Oh, that Trixie's Tanuki. Try the noodle stand, and go enjoy a big bowl of Tanuki tail needles while you're at it. They should go to Eldunes.
I know.
Yeah, everyone's a comedian. No, I meant your bags, the ones under your eyes. You must have trouble sleeping. Here, this charm will keep Azukiarai away. Azukiarai, the yokai that washes Azuki beans? The only thing needing washing will be your father's neck before I take his head clean off. Azukiarai often keeps people up at night with the noise he makes washing beans, but if you stick this charm on your forehead, you won't hear him anymore. Is that so? Well, thank you. Looks like Prosecutor Blackwell got more than he bargained for. They're bad enough alone, but together, those two are just plain creepy. Your testimony, if you please, Miss Tenma, specifically whether or not you saw Tenma Taro when you discovered the crime scene. Did I see Tenma Taro in the Fox Chamber? Well, when I opened the door, I saw, yes, now I remember. Yokai, right there in that room. So there was a yokai at the scene of the crime. Lots and lots of them. Wait, more than one yokai? Did Tenma Taro happen to be among them? I don't know, I just don't know. All I know is the room was swimming in yokai. Tasha, Nirukabi, Seto Tasho, eek, they were all there. Well, this is an unexpected turn of events. We've gone from no yokai to a flood of them. This is ludicrous. You would have this court listen to this delusional little scamp's testimony? Your Honor, I believe her memory is simply clouded by fear. But a quick therapy session should ease her mind. With the court's permission, of course. What a fabulous idea. Please proceed, Miss Sykes. You sure you know what you're doing, Athena? She's obviously not herself. The trauma of discovering that crime scene and fear of testifying have her dazed and confused. A regular ball of confusion. But my analytical psychology-based approach should be able to help. Any objections, Prosecutor Blackwell? Shall we let Miss Sykes proceed? It makes no difference to me. Do as you will, but I doubt we shall get any viable testimony. She'd be better served by bearing witness to the sword skills I forged at a distant land. I'll show you. Did I see Tenma Taro in the Fox Chamber? Well, when I opened the door, I saw... Now I remember. Yokai, right there in that room. Found something. Looks like an out-of-control emotion. Athena, what exactly are we looking at here? Oh, this? It's one of Widget's functions. Right here you can see images and emotions extracted from the witness's voice. Whoa, you mean that little thing can do all this? Pretty cool, huh? And here I thought it was just some kid's toy. Unfortunately, all I'm getting is an overflow error right now. See how sad is brightly lit there at the bottom left? She's under an uncontrollable amount of distress, which is masking her other emotions. It seems the sheer terror she experienced has made her a confused mess. So all those yokai she thinks she saw are a product of rampant emotions. Yes, that's right. Her fear has instilled in her hallucinations and false memories. She's seeing normal everyday objects as monsters in her mind. It's a form of schizophrenic hallucination brought on by emotional trauma. And the trauma in Jinxie's case is fear. So she was and still is seeing ordinary objects as yokai. We'll have to find the root cause of her extreme fear before I can treat it. Now let's see. Apollo, can you point out the yokai on the Wheel of Fire? She seems particularly terrified of that one. Start by pressing probe. Next, point to what's causing Jinxie's out-of-control emotion. Finally, hit probe again to try and get to the heart of the matter. Okay, let's give this a try. So it's this one she was talking about. Jinxie, what's the name for that yokai on the Wheel of Fire? That's Akasha, a yokai that steals the bodies of the recently deceased.
Wow.
I bet it came to steal the Aldermans. It's almost creepy how well that fits the actual situation. Exactly, it's a form of hallucination where the patient can't see things for what they are. There must be something at the scene of the crime that she's mistaking for Akasha. Apollo, you need to point out where she thought there was a yokai on a Wheel of Fire. I think I know the answer now. Jinxie, that wasn't Akasha you saw. Could you possibly have mistaken this for Akasha? Yep.
Take that!
The light fixture? This one right here has a flame design and is up there on the ceiling. There was never a yokai in a Wheel of Fire. The Akasha you saw was just a light fixture. Eek!
These are all real yokai, by the way. I'm looking them up as we go.
Really?
Yeah. The corpse-eating cat.
Oh, God.
I love cats.
That's...
A cat on like a burning chariot of fire.
The little cat looks so cute.
I know.
That's one memory back to normal. Nice job. Now that you got the hang of it, it should be a sense to point out the rest. Jinxie, what about this white wall-like monster? That's newer Kabi. It's a wall monster that blocks your way or leads you astray. That's no yokai, Jinxie. It's a folding screen. Eek! And this raccoon dog isn't a Tanuki monster, it's just a statue of one. Eek! And look, these are just coffee cups, and this right here is nothing more than a fox statue. Eek! I don't know what I was thinking. Okay, down to 50%. You did it, Apollo. Her extreme fear is under control now. It was all just my eyes playing tricks on me. There weren't any yokai after all. See, a clear-cut statement. That's the power of my psychology and your intuition, Apollo. And just like we thought, there really weren't any yokai in the Fox Chamber. Which goes to his point, but... Right, never really were any yokai there, so the defense is asserting the exact opposite of their original assertion. Wait, Jinxie, what about Tenmataro? There wasn't anyone there dressed up as Tenmataro or any other yokai either. I remember it clearly now. You've gotta be joking! Then what did she see outside and going toward the foyer?
Well, she went to go make the call to the police, and when she came back, she saw it running out.
So I'm wondering about that. Pour it in the court. I think we just dug our own grave. Allow me to push you on in. It's the least I could do. No! Apollo, can I interrupt your freakout for just 1 minute? I'm still picking up some noise. It's an unexpected emotion. Does that mean Jinxie hasn't remembered everything yet? Exactly. We should be able to get something else out of her. I'll enter the new information we have and run an update. Well, that makes sense. I was so scared when I entered the room. My legs gave out and I fell to the floor. There in the Fox Chamber I saw the Alderman dead on a table and Papa collapsed in a chair. Nobody else was there, and that includes Tenmataro. Well, that seemed pretty consistent. Wait, what am I supposed to do? Try to find the emotions that contradict her statements. So if I find a contradictory emotion, I should point it out. That's right, but it's not just contradictory emotions you should look out for. You should also keep an eye out for sudden changes in an emotion's intensity. Her emotions might get stronger or weaker as you move from statement to statement. It's important to compare how the same emotion changes throughout the testimony. Contradictory emotions and changes in intensity. Okay, I'll give it a shot. I do remember... Here, it picked up. And it's still picked up. And then the shock picked up here. I mean... Let's see. So here, it's a bit of shock. Well, it's a bit of sadness and a ton of shock. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Her legs gave out.
But then he really freaked out.
Yeah. Which, the sadness, seeing her dad, makes sense. But here, the shock... Why would she be so sad that there wasn't a Tenmataro? This seems like an unnatural reaction. Really? Because I don't see it that way. So it isn't unexpected given her testimony. Hello, is there anyone in there? Just nod if you can hear me. Yes, there is someone at home, and that someone is going to try that again. Let's see.
So there's sadness, and then there's surprise.
Right.
Why is she getting surprised?
I was so scared when I entered the room. So here, there's a lot of sadness and some shock. And here, there's a lot of both. Now the sadness goes down, and the shock goes up big. Well, the shock actually is the same. Here it's big for both. Maybe it's the fact that she's shocked about the fact that there's nobody else there. Oh no. Maybe I should just go with what she told me. Look for jumps. I was so scared when I entered the room, but she's sad. And it went up, so maybe it's as simple as that. Okay, never mind. Well, there's actually... Her sadness goes down when the legs give out. That I don't quite get. Why does her sadness go down? Maybe it's this? I'm glad...
There you go.
Oh. The amount of fear you felt is rather low despite your legs having given out from fright. Could something have lessened your fear? Actually, I did experience a sudden burst of courage at that moment. You did? Where did it come from? Let me think. Oh, it was Mama. I suddenly felt as if she was there with me. Okay, I'll enter a sudden burst of courage. Now let's see. Oh, look! Apollo, the noise is all gone. Jinxie seems to have remembered everything now. A sudden burst of courage. Now, where could that have come from? Jinxie, was there something that gave you a sudden burst of courage? That was her mama. Yes, there was, but I realized I had done something naughty when I thought about it later. Any idea what could have given Jinxie that courage? Well, there is one piece of evidence that comes to mind. I wonder if she saw something like it at the scene of the crime. Jinxie, did your sudden burst of courage have anything to do with this? I don't know if it's a warding charm. I feel like she keeps that... Oh, wait! This! It gives her courage because it was her mother's favorite flower.
Okay.
Doesn't make sense to me. Jinxie, you didn't happen to see a nine-tails flower there at the scene, did you? Ah, the demon lawyer strikes again. I can't hide anything from you. I found a small case with a picture of a nine-tails flower on it. I liked it so much I kept it. You what? You can't remove evidence from a crime scene. That's right, young lady. Removing evidence is a big no-no. Now, the witness will produce said evidence this instant. Sorry. It does seem to be some sort of case. Oh, look, something slid out. It appears to be a key. Might I have a look, your baldness? This is none other than the master key to QB Manor. Are you certain of this, Prosecutor Blackwell? It matches the serial number of the key that went missing after the murder. A master key that went missing. Why don't I like the sound of that? Our little scamp here has stumbled upon an article of unimaginable consequence. That's a little melodramatic, don't you think? Heed these words, for I shall say them but once. The sole key to the Fox Chamber has been in this little scamp's constant possession. Ergo, she was the sole person who could use it before, during, and after the murder, which leaves the master key as the only other key that could have opened the chamber. But this master key was found in a room that had been locked by this girl. And your point is, until Jinxie Tenma opened the Fox Chamber with her key, the room had been locked tight from the outside world, and there was no one else in there save the victim and his killer. I trust you have figured it out for yourself by now. A killer other than Mayor Tenma himself would be utterly inconceivable. No!
Objection!
How could this happen? The defense's assistant will refrain from growling her frustrations. Athena, are you alright? I know Mayor Tenma's innocent, but there's nothing we can do. This sucks. Sykes, Dono. Allow me to put you out of your misery. Can I decline your offer? Abandon your client and your misplaced faith in him. Let the relief of a clear head and a clean conscience come rushing in. That will make the inevitable guilty verdict far easier to accept. Great, now he's playing Simon Says with us. Well, he's not going to fool us with his stupid mind games. Athena, don't fall for his tricks. Now I'm the one who's dazed and confused. I can't even think straight. Hey, are you alright? She fell right into his trap. Now I suggest you make a mad dash from the courtroom and into the wild blue yonder. Only by running shall your mind be cleared and your conscience cleansed. Alright, I'll be back in 10. Stay with me, Athena. Don't let yourself be twisted by that samurai. Apollo? Mr. Justice? I heard the word objection, but what is it you object to? Huh? Oh, right. That objection was more of a reflex than anything else. Though I was hoping something would come to me while I was trying to stop Athena. The court is waiting, Mr. Justice, though as it stands right now, I'll be forced to declare your client guilty and your legal skills suspect if this is it. Now, do you have anything that could overturn the prosecution's case? Well, actually I do. I'm Apollo Justice, and I'm fine. Apollo, you do have something more than your cords of steel, don't you? Not really, but we'll be fine. But I've got absolutely nothing that's never stopped me before. I have to explain how the real killer could have escaped that locked room, because it's all over if I don't. Apollo, this calls for a new approach. Try to think outside the box. Or in this case, inside the box. And what a doozy that locked room is, too. The air vent, like I was saying earlier, it's the only thing that could possibly do anything. Do you have anything that can counter the prosecution's argument? You bet I do. The real killer must have escaped from the locked room one way or another. I'll only earn you a taste of my blade, Justice Dono. Time to do or die, literally. The defense will now explain how it would be possible to escape the locked room. You sure about this, Apollo? Can you really explain what happened? I'm fine. We just need to think this whole escaping a locked room thing over from the beginning. So, let's see. If the killer had escaped, how could they have done so? The choices are pretty limited. The room has a window, but
Can't fit out of it.
can't fit out of it. So it's the vent. It's gotta be the vent. It doesn't open wide enough for anyone to get through, and there's a sheer cliff outside. As for the air vent, it's up too high, and there's nothing you could stand on to reach it. Oh, so they're eliminating it. And needless to say, the forbidden chamber wouldn't open no matter what we did, so that's out. Yeah, that's why we gotta keep the solution simple. Like they say, simple is best. We need to rule out all of the absolutely impossible escape routes. Then whatever's left just might lead us to how the Fox chamber was compromised. Your Honor, the defense proposes that the killer escaped through here. So,
What if they were hiding in the forbidden chamber, waiting for her to come in and opened it, and then when she ran out to call 911, that's when they run out?
That's true, they could have ran here, basically. And then when she went to the foyer, the person comes, runs this way, down. I don't know how to do the... I mean, I guess I can just say Fox chamber.
I think they were in the forbidden chamber.
And just how did the killer escape through there, Mr. Justice? Your reasoning skills seem as questionable as your proposed escape route. Ack, I wish I could escape right now. I'm afraid there's no escaping a penalty for your random guessing, Mr. Justice. Can I try that one again? So we think it's the Fox chamber.
Or were they hidden in the forbidden one?
I mean, the thing is, we did see that he opened the door in that movie.
And there was also the thing that was supposed to guard it was off.
Yeah, so...
It's been opened, but I don't know what he did to it.
I don't know either. I don't know if we can prove it yet, but let's...
Okay, just kidding. You might want to say it.
Yeah. Well, let me try the air duct like I thought. Nope. Well, maybe if we're guilty, it'll give us our health back at least. That's enough. I see no reason to further prolong this trial. The defense's argument is insufficient. Damien Tenma is guilty. He's a bad person. Alright, now let's come back. The choices are pretty limited, so let's see what their reasoning is. The room has a window, but it doesn't open wide enough for anyone to get through when there's a sheer cliff outside. As for the air vent, it's up too high, and there's nothing you can stand on to reach it. And needless to say, the forbidden chamber wouldn't open no matter what we did, so that's out. Yeah, that's why we gotta keep the solution simple. We need to rule out the absolutely impossible escape routes, then whatever's left just might lead us to how the Fox chamber was compromised. So... well, maybe he hid behind the door, and then rolled out? Which is kind of what you're getting at?
I meant the door back there, but that was not it.
Well, what we were getting at the start.
What about the screen? There's like the screen by that chair that's overturned.
Thing is, there's no, like, screen that's... You know what I mean? Like... I mean, I guess we can look at the crime photo, but...
See, it's behind that chair.
Okay, so let's go on the left side.
Take that!
Let me try behind the door.
Take that!
Let's just try the door, because we're saying he escaped through the door after hiding.
Take that!
The hallway door? Well, yes, I suppose that would be the only way out. It would appear you've already forgotten. The only available key until Jinxie Tenma came on scene was within the locked door. How would one exit the Fox chamber, then lock it without a key, I should have seen this coming. Remember, Apollo, keep it simple. Simple, right. I could understand if the killer had exited the room with the key, but... Well, Mr. Justice, the prosecution has some fine Japanese steel waiting, unless you explain yourself quickly. I'm fine. I can explain myself. The reason the Fox Chamber's hallway door was locked was because Tenma locked it from inside, it locked on its own, the perp locked it from outside.
I don't know.
Let's see. So let's see the conversation. Hallway door. The only available key until Jinxie Tenma came on scene was within the locked room. How would one exit the Fox chamber and then lock it without a key?
That's not true, because the Phineas guy has all the keys. And he was busy watching TV, so someone else could have used the key.
Okay. So keep it simple. Tenma locked it from inside. Perp locked it from outside. What if the room was locked from the outside? In other words, the killer took the key through the hallway door, then locked it. Ouch. Consider this, the master key was found inside the tightly locked Fox chamber. Any assertion that the key was removed from that room is a blatant contradiction of fact. Exiting the room before locking the door would require taking the key outside, but the key was found inside the room, which does seem like a contradiction. If only we could explain both, like how the key could be inside the room and be used to lock the door from outside. Well, let's see if the defense can respond before Prosecutor Blackwell draws his sword. How could the master key be at the crime scene despite the room being locked tight? Slipped in when the door was opened. Threw it in from outside. Changed the lock.
Slipped it in when it was open? Or you mean from outside? Well, there's a cliff there, he can't.
Yeah, so it'd have to be from outside the room, which I would think slipped it in would be the simplest thing. I doubt he changed the lock. Maybe someone threw it in from the hallway when Jinxie opened the door. That would explain... Perhaps we should ask the little scamp herself. When you opened the Fox chamber, did you witness anyone throw the master key inside? Sorry, I didn't see anyone else there. Oh. What a pity. Or perhaps you intend to accuse the witness of murder? You leave me no choice, a penalty for random speculation and lack of foresight. How could someone have gotten the key into that locked room? Let's try that again. How could the master key be at the crime scene despite the room being locked tight? He either threw it in from outside, but we're saying he didn't, though. And so... maybe someone threw it in from the hallway when Jinxie opened the door. Threw it in from outside, but there's a cliff. Changed the lock? Maybe it is changed the lock, but that seems weird. That would explain how it got there. And the original door, where did that disappear to? Okay, that was a stupid guess. Well, at least there's only one more. What if someone threw it into the room from outside? You know, something like go out the hallway door, lock the room, and then toss the key back in through the window? That would explain how the master key would be inside the locked room. And where would you throw it from? There's a cliff outside the Fox Chamber's window. Throwing the key in from there is an impossibility.
What about from the air vent down?
Hey, yeah. Oh, right, Ack. I wonder if the key could have been tossed in from somewhere other than the window. Somewhere other than the window? Could the key have been tossed in through somewhere other than the window? Yes! The air duct. The air vent? Yes, the window may be out of the question, but the air vent's not. Ooh, that's right, the Fox Chamber's air duct leads out into the hallway. That's right, the real killer entered the air duct from the vent outside the Fox Chamber, then dropped the key into the room through the vent inside the chamber. Huh? That's preposterous. Ooh, that explains how the key got in there after it was used to lock the door perfectly. Mr. Justice, I'm afraid I'm a little bit confused. Don't worry. I'll explain it so even Your Honor can understand. Wow. First, the real killer disguised as Tenmataro murdered the alderman in the Fox Chamber. Then, they fled the room through the hallway door and locked it. Next, they entered the air duct from the vent outside in the hallway. Finally, the killer tossed the key into the room through the air vent in the ceiling there. All that was left to do after that was go back through the duct and flee the manor. Well, Your Honor, could that be any clearer? Amazing! Even I could follow that! The judge seems really pleased. That explains everything. The real killer was someone dressed up like Ken Mataro, and there was someone else other than the mayor and the alderman in that room. Hey, it looks like that lawyer is beating the jailbird prosecutor. Well, that was a total turnabout. That massive forehead of his seems so much more attractive now. Or, what, is that her friend in the gallery?
Juniper?
Yeah.
Juniper Wood?
Order, I say. Now that I've proved a possible third party, I don't see how our client could be guilty. A valiant effort, Justice Dono, but your final thrust missed its mark. Huh? Both that little scamp and the tricksy Tanuki saw the yokai after it left the room. But then what? Did that irksome yokai simply go through the foyer and waltz right out the front door? That's exactly what happened. The killer fled from the youch. But that is impossible without being spotted by the foyer security camera, that is. The electric eye here would have captured any pesky little yokai trying to escape. However, there was no sign of Tenmataro anywhere in the security footage. Oh, I think I know why. Save for the foyer entrance, there is no other way to flee the manor, is there? I don't feel so good. Wait, I believe there is one other way to escape besides the foyer entrance. There's a large window in the foyer. It's possible to escape through there without being seen by the security camera. Hey, you're right. Must I point out every crucial detail to the defense? It seems you lack not only brains, but investigative prowess to boot. And that is the cliff side of the manor. The only killer escaping that way would be a dead one. No, wait. So the killer didn't escape out the foyer window? What the heck, right? Ha. I suppose your next proposal is the killer sprouted wings and flew off into the sunset?
Well,
We do have that. That would mean the killer really was a yokai. If only we had some sort of evidence that could point to a flying killer. Who's saying we don't, as completely far-fetched as it might be? What? You're saying you can prove the killer could fly? So I have a different idea, but... So my idea is that, since this is the Joker, he just went into the caretaker's office out of sight.
that's what I thought too, but it's looking like he might have jumped, right?
I guess he might have. I mean, I guess if in that one case in the third game, somebody swung over the cliff, I guess I can see somebody jumping somehow. I mean, I thought I was the one with the cords of steel. Oh, I can't wait to hear this. Your Honor? What evidence do you have that the killer flew away? That.
Take that!
Take a look at this special edition paper. Ken Mataro, real or flight of fancy? What does this article prove, Mr. Justice? The photo in that article was taken shortly after the murder. Maybe the yokai in that photo was the killer shortly after they fled out of the window? Mr. Justice, you're not seriously suggesting... Oh, I'm serious. I mean, it all adds up. The killer disguised as Ken Mataro flew away. You know, by some way or another. It is your brain that has flown the coop. That image is not but trick photography or some other form of artifice. Okay then, how about the Tenmataro figure Mr. Filch saw? It just vanished into thin air? No, but there is a rational, common-sense explanation for that. That infernal yokai, our tricksy Tanuki witness, never reached the entrance. He, or I should say she, turned back before the camera's electric eye. She, I don't like where this is going one bit. Now, the fact that we know the yokai had come from the Fox Chamber means that it was likely either Mayor Damien Tenma or his daughter Jinxie Tenma. However, we know that Mayor Tenma was already unconscious at that time. Not good at all. Do you understand the gravity of the situation now, Justice Dono? The falsified yokai remnants and the appearance of Tenmataro were the work of one individual. And that individual is none other than Jinxie Tenma. I mean, well, that would mean our client's off. So, I win. Ah, no! Order, order, the defense will stop competing for the greatest freakout ever. The little scamp was no doubt simply trying to protect her father, and it's no wonder that her superstitious mind conjured up this mad masquerade. Prosecutor Blackwell's assertion makes perfect sense to me. It's far more convincing than saying the killer escaped by flying out of the window. Did you truly believe this could end any other way? Did we fall right into his trap? What do we do now, Apollo? Our case no longer stands without a real yokai. If only we had one. Bailiff, seize her. It is time I interrogated her as the samurai of your wood. That must be her dad. Mayor Tenma? This farce is over. How does it feel seeing your own daughter accused of a cover-up most foul? Tenmataro's true identity is... Now, Mr. Mayor, it would be futile at this point to claim you were the yokai. After all, you had been knocked out cold by a blow to the skull. Slipping into a yokai costume and roaming about the manor would be all but impossible. Consider this well. As it stands, your daughter will be arrested for obstruction of justice. But if you confess, the prosecution would be willing to overlook her little yokai. Confess? The defendant intends to confess? Wait. Apollo, Prosecutor Blackwell's up to his mind games again. Mayor Tenma, no, don't fall for his twisted words. If you're sent away for murder, Jinxie will be left all alone. The real killer is... Mayor Tenma's going to confess unless we do something. But I can't prove how the real killer could have flown away. Caw, 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 caw. Look upon me and despair, for ripe is the time for my return. Uh-oh, I should watch what I wish for. Caw, 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 foolish mortals. I am Tenmataro, the yokai you seek. Mayor Tenma? Silence! I am Tenmataro, freed from the bonds binding me to the Forbidden Chamber. Behold, the return of the Demon King. What the? Demon King? Well then, I think it's time for me to... I don't even know what he said, it went too fast. Time to take a vacation. The witness he will explain himself. Are you saying you're Tenma Taro, the yokai we've been chasing this whole time? Indeed, it is I, Tenma Taro, the one whom you seek, come to reveal the truth. This child is Tenma Taro, you say? Ha, what nonsense. So Mayor Tenma is a yokai now. Ka, his body is now mine. So you're saying that Mayor Tenma is being possessed by you? That the yokai that Jinxie Tenma and Phineas Filch saw, and the one captured in the newspaper photo, those were all you. The accursed power of these warding charms prevents me from revealing my true form. Your baldness. Can this not be interpreted as an admission of guilt? Well, a confession by a yokai would be quite unprecedented. Be that as it may, the defense's case has been overturned. Huh? What? You claim the yokai that little scam saw was some third party, the true killer. The one who escaped from the locked fox chamber, but it was the accused all along. Ironic, is it not? Your yokai turned out to be real, in a manner of speaking. For the alderman's killer is none other than Mayor Tenma, and the yokai at the scene, that too was Mayor Tenma, or should I say our dear Tenma Taro. The pieces have all fallen into place. How so, Prosecutor Blackwell? It seems I must spell it all out for you. Mayor Tenma killed the alderman in the fox chamber, which was locked at the time. He then removed the warding charm from the forbidden chamber's door, but then fell unconscious from the blow the alderman had delivered to his head. That's when his daughter Jinxie Tenma stumbled on the scene of the crime. That little scam fled in terror, whereupon the spirit of Tenma Taro, freed at last from the charm's warding effect, took possession of the mayor. The newly freed Tenma Taro then fled from the fox chamber. So you see, the yokai Jinxie Tenma saw was her father possessed by Tenma Taro. But when we arrived on the scene, the mayor was found unconscious. How's that possible if he was supposed to have flown out the foyer window? Then what? Do you mean to say the maid of Kyoba Manor, Jinxie Tenma, was Tenma Taro? Caw, that too is easily explained. Flew about for a time that I, but presently tired, I made for the forbidden chamber. But alas, exhaustion took me unawares in the fox chamber, and I knew no more. It would seem the pieces are still in place. Is Blackwell up to his tricks again? I don't know what to say. Is the defendant a real live? So the rumor of Mayor Tenma is true. I knew yokai were real. I mean, he really did kill the alderman just so he could release Tenma Taro. Order. Now he's got everyone in the courtroom believing in yokai. It's Simon Says on steroids. He wants to convict our client any way he can, even if it means blaming a yokai. The proverbial ducks are all in a row. You should now have no qualms about finding the accused guilty, your baldness. This is one of the most bizarre cases in my entire career, otherworldly in fact. Can yokai even be prosecuted under our legal system? Mayor Tenma is just pretending to be Tenma Taro to protect his daughter. Plus, I already proved how a third party could have escaped from the locked room. A verdict at this point would be premature. Since both sides have raised valid points, I have no choice but to... This is the dark age of law where defense attorneys are not to be trusted. This is but a ploy to gain time for them to fabricate evidence. How will I sleep tonight? Knowing you will not let the sun rise on the mayor's day of reckoning, Justice Bono. I won't fabricate any evidence. Then prove it by joining me. A night in the clink will ensure you will not succumb to temptation. How about I just promise not to succumb to anything? We have both evidence and a confession. The killer is this yokai before us. It is beyond dispute. The guilty verdict is all but...
What happened?
What's wrong with him? Prosecutor Blackwell, we've had enough of your hijinks. The foundation of justice is fair play, and you are in serious violation of that. Does he have some kind of... What in the devil was that? Fulbright, have you tampered with my shackles in some manner? Ha, it seems you found that quite shocking. It's my special jolt of justice device. Each presses a shocking reminder to behave. You shall pay for this. I, Simon Blackwood, vow to... Your Honor, you need not fear now. I believe Prosecutor Blackwood will remain on his best behavior. A bit late with the reinsurances, aren't we, Detective? Well, in that case, this concludes today's deliberations. The prosecution and defense will use this opportunity to further their investigations. This court is adjourned.
Good stopping point.
Ja. I wasn't actually expecting the detective to be the hero at the end of that. Someone needed to stop Blackquill. He was going crazy.
Yeah, he was getting a little out of hand.
Yeah, a little too much. You know, only one who ever got that out of hand was Von Karma. Not Francesca, but Manfred. For many, many, many reasons. Okay. Got through the entire trial portion. So since this is the second case, it'll probably just be one more investigation and then the end of the trial.
Okay.
And then we'll do the DLC case instead of the third case. Because I heard chronologically, that's where it goes, and I hear it's a fun case, so why not? Okay?